Hello, and welcome to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that so many English learners struggle with: the fear of speaking English. If you've ever felt nervous, embarrassed, or even completely stuck when trying to speak English, you are not alone. And guess what? We're here to help.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and I know that speaking English can feel scary at times. Maybe you're afraid of making mistakes, or you think others will judge you. But today, we're going to talk about why this happens and how you can overcome it. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll feel a lot more confident about speaking English.
That's right, Julia. In this episode, we'll explore why people feel afraid to speak English, the fear of making mistakes and being judged, how to build confidence and speak more naturally, simple exercises to practice speaking without fear. So if you've ever hesitated to speak English in public, in class, or even with friends, stay with us. This episode is for you.
Absolutely. And remember, we're here to support you, so don't be too hard on yourself. Everyone learns at their own pace, and the key is to keep going. All right, Jason, shall we start with why so many people feel afraid to speak English?
Let's do it. Let's talk about where this fear comes from and why it's so common. So, Julia, let's dive into it. Why do you think so many people feel afraid to speak English?
Well, Jason, I think the biggest reason is fear of making mistakes. A lot of English learners worry that if they say something wrong, people will laugh at them or think they're not smart, and that fear can stop them from even trying.
That's so true. But here's the thing. Making mistakes is part of learning. Think about how babies learn their first language. They don't worry about grammar or pronunciation. They just try, and little by little, they improve.
Exactly. But unfortunately, many adults feel pressure to be perfect. They think, I need to speak English without mistakes before I talk to people, but that's impossible. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Right. And another big reason people feel afraid is lack of confidence. If someone hasn't practiced speaking much, they might think, I can't do it. My English isn't good enough.
Yes, and that lack of confidence can make them avoid speaking situations. They might stay silent in class, avoid talking to native speakers, or even feel nervous when ordering food in English.
Yeah, I've heard this from so many learners. And here's something interesting. Some people understand English really well, but they're too scared to speak. Have you ever met someone like that, Julia?
Oh, all the time. Many students can read and listen in English perfectly, but when it's time to speak, they freeze. It's like their brain knows the words, but their mouth won't say them.
Yes. And, another reason people feel afraid is the fear of being judged. They think native speakers or other learners will criticize their accent or grammar.
But the truth is, most people don't care. When I hear someone speaking a second language, I don't think, oh, they made a mistake. I think, wow, they're learning a new language. That's amazing.
Exactly. And most native speakers actually appreciate when someone tries to speak English. They don't expect you to be perfect. They just want to understand you.
So true, but I know overcoming that fear isn't easy. That's why we're going to talk about practical tips to help our listeners feel more comfortable speaking English.
Yes. Let's start with one of the biggest fears, the fear of making mistakes, and how to overcome it. So, Julia, let's talk about something that stops so many people from speaking English, the fear of making mistakes. Why do you think people are so scared of this?
Well, Jason, I think it comes from school. Many of us were taught that making mistakes is bad. If you made a mistake in a test, you lost points. If you made a mistake in class, sometimes the teacher or other students corrected you in a way that felt embarrassing.
That's so true. A lot of people believe that if they make a mistake, others will laugh at them or think they're not smart. But actually, mistakes are a natural part of learning. Have you ever made funny mistakes while learning a new language, Julia?
Oh, definitely. When I was learning Spanish, I once said embarazada because I thought it meant embarrassed, but actually it means pregnant. I was so embarrassed, but guess what? I never forgot that word again.
Haha, that's a great example. And that's the thing, mistakes actually help us learn. When we make a mistake, our brain remembers it, and we improve.
Exactly. But Jason, I know some learners might still feel shy. They might think, what if people judge me? What would you say to them?
I would say this. Most people don't care about your mistakes. They just want to understand you. Think about when you hear someone speaking your language with mistakes. Do you judge them, or do you appreciate their effort?
Right. Most people actually respect and admire you for trying. And here's something important. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Yes, native speakers sometimes forget words, use the wrong grammar, or mispronounce things. But they keep talking anyway. That's the difference. Instead of being afraid of mistakes, they just move on.
So true. And here's a great tip for our listeners. Instead of thinking, oh no, I made a mistake, think great. I learned something new.
I love that. Learning a language is like learning to ride a bike. You'll fall a few times, but every time you get up, you get better and stronger.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, don't let the fear of mistakes stop you. Every mistake is a step forward.
Well said, Julia. Now let's move on to another big fear, the fear of being judged by others. All right, Julia, let's talk about something that really holds people back, the fear of being judged by others. So many English learners are afraid to speak because they think people will laugh at them or criticize their mistakes. Have you ever felt this way when learning a new language?
Oh, absolutely. When I first started learning French, I was so nervous to speak because I thought native speakers would judge me. But you know what I realized? Most people don't judge you. They just appreciate that you're trying.
That's so true. But many learners still worry about this. Maybe they're afraid their accent sounds funny or their grammar isn't perfect. But let's ask this. When you hear someone speaking English with an accent, do you judge them?
Of course not. I actually admire them. Speaking a second language takes courage, and accents show that you're learning something new.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. Even native English speakers have different accents. Someone from the U.S. sounds different from someone from the U.K. or Australia. So having an accent is totally normal.
Right. And I think a big reason people fear judgment is because they compare themselves to others. Maybe they hear someone speaking fluently and think, I'll never sound like that. But the truth is, everyone learns at their own pace.
Yes. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to your past self. Are you better than you were 6 months ago? 1 year ago? If yes, that's all that matters.
That's a great mindset. And here's another tip. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to judge you.
Haha, that's so true. We often worry, what will they think of me? But in reality, most people aren't even paying attention to your mistakes.
Exactly. And even if someone corrects you, it's not a bad thing. They're just trying to help. The best way to improve is to keep speaking and learning from feedback.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners, don't let the fear of judgment stop you. Speak with confidence. Most people will respect and support you, and the more you practice, the better you'll get.
Well said, Jason. Now let's talk about how to build confidence so our listeners can speak English without fear.
So, Julia, we've talked about the fears that stop people from speaking English. Fear of making mistakes and fear of being judged. Now, let's focus on something really important: how to build confidence in speaking English.
Yes, confidence is key. If you believe in yourself, you'll speak more, learn more, and improve faster. But Jason, I know a lot of people struggle with this. So, what's the first step to building confidence?
Well, I think the first step is practice, practice, practice. The more you speak, the more comfortable you become. It's like riding a bike. You might feel shaky at first, but the more you do it, the easier it gets.
That's so true. And you don't always need a partner to practice. You can talk to yourself in English, describe your day, practice common phrases, or even record yourself speaking.
Yes, recording yourself is a great way to track your progress. When you listen to your old recordings, you'll realize how much you've improved, and that will boost your confidence.
I love that. Another great tip is to start with small conversations. You don't have to give a big speech right away. Just try simple things, like ordering food in English or asking a question at a store.
Exactly. Start small, and as you get comfortable, challenge yourself to speak more. And here's another trick: fake confidence. Even if you're nervous, act confident. Stand tall, speak clearly, and smile.
Oh, I love that. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, and the more you pretend to be confident, the more natural it becomes.
Absolutely. And don't forget, surround yourself with English. Listen to podcasts, watch movies, and read books in English. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more confident you'll feel.
Yes, and here's one last tip: celebrate your progress. Every time you have a conversation, even a short one, be proud of yourself. Every small step is a big achievement.
That's right. So to everyone listening, don't wait until you feel ready. Start speaking today. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
Well said, Jason. Now let's talk about another big challenge: how to practice speaking English when you don't have a partner.
So, Julia, we've talked about building confidence, but there's something even deeper that affects how well people speak English: their mindset. How we think about learning makes a huge difference.
Yes, absolutely. If you have a negative mindset like, "I'll never be good at English," or "I always make mistakes," you'll feel stuck. But if you have a positive mindset like, "I'm improving every day," or "mistakes help me learn," you'll feel more confident and motivated.
That's so true. Many learners focus too much on what they can't do instead of what they can do. But here's the truth. Learning English is a journey, not a race. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going.
Yes, and there's a famous concept called the growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that with effort and practice, they can improve. But people with a fixed mindset think that their skills are stuck and they can't change.
I love that. So, if someone listening feels like they're not good at English, they need to change that thought. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at English," say, "I'm getting better every day."
Yes, the words we say to ourselves are powerful. If you say, "I'm too shy to speak," you'll believe it. But if you say, "I'm learning to be more confident," your brain will start to believe that too.
That's a great point. And another thing, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone learns at a different speed. The important thing is that you're learning and improving.
Exactly. And one more tip: celebrate small wins. If you had a short conversation in English today, be proud of yourself. If you learned a new word, celebrate that every small step matters.
That's so true. So, to everyone listening, believe in yourself, think positively, and keep going. Your mindset is your greatest tool for success.
Well said, Jason. Now let's talk about the final and most important part: taking action and speaking without fear.
All right, Julia, we've talked about mindset, confidence, and overcoming fear. But now, let's give our listeners something practical, real exercises they can do to reduce their fear of speaking English.
Yes, because confidence doesn't just appear, you have to build it with practice. So, Jason, what's the first exercise?
Well, one simple exercise is mirror speaking. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself in English. It could be a short introduction, your daily routine, or even just describing how you feel.
I love that speaking in front of a mirror helps you see yourself speaking, which makes you more comfortable. Plus, it helps with pronunciation and body language.
Exactly. And here's another one, shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say right after them. You can do this with a podcast, movie, or YouTube video.
Yes, shadowing helps you sound more natural because you're copying real pronunciation and rhythm. And it's great because you don't have to create sentences. You just repeat.
Right. Another great exercise is recording yourself. Pick a topic, speak for 1 or 2 minutes, and then listen to your recording. At first, it might feel strange, but over time, you'll see your progress.
That's such a great way to track improvement. And if you're feeling really brave, you can send your recording to a friend or teacher for feedback.
Yes, and here's one more. Question and answer practice. Write down common questions in English, then practice answering them. You can even use voice assistants like Siri or Google Assistant to talk with you.
Oh, that's a great idea. And for those who don't have a partner, they can also think in English. Throughout the day, try describing things in your mind in English instead of your native language.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, pick 1 or 2 of these exercises and start today. The more you practice, the less fear you'll feel.
Well said, Jason. Now, let's wrap up with our final section, a motivational message for our listeners.
Wow, Julia, what a great conversation today. We've talked about why people feel afraid to speak English, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of being judged, how to build confidence, the power of mindset, and practical exercises to reduce fear.
Yes, Jason. And the most important message we want to share is don't let fear stop you. Everyone makes mistakes, but mistakes are part of learning. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, start today. Pick one of the exercises we talked about and practice speaking English every day. Even small steps will lead to big progress.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe and follow us for more English learning tips. Also share this episode with a friend who is learning English. It might help them too.
That's right. And we'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge in speaking English? Leave a comment or message us with your thoughts.
Thank you for joining us today. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, you can do this.